John, have I told you I'm addicted to Carwell's auctions?
You might have mentioned it, yeah.
Well, they're online 6 days a week. They're getting 20,000 fresh vehicles in every month. It's actually one of my best sources of quality stock. Listings have got plenty of photos, service history, and background checks for peace of mind. And you can pay sellers in a click with Carwell Wallet. They even transport your car with built-in protection of up to £25,000.
Well, that's more than you will ever need.
Exactly, John. So dealers, if you're not on Carwow, you really should get in on the auction. See what I've done, John?
Oh, God.
Anyway, to find out more, sign up for free at carwow.co.uk/partners/auctions.
Welcome back to the Car Dealer Podcast, where we pick our favourite stories of the week and ask an industry guest to choose which were the best. I'm John Ray, and joining me this week, it's only James Backett. James, hello.
Hi, John. How are
What have
you?
you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, you know most of the stuff I've been up to because once again, we've been living together for most of the week, haven't we?
Don't say it like that.
People are going to start to talk, aren't they? John, yes, what have we been up to? Well, Tuesday was quite an exciting day because the rest of our Japanese imports arrived, didn't they? So we went to what can be only described as a scrapyard to pick them up. It was they were the cars that turned up in a container. So there was 4 cars in there. Well, actually, the guy told us who unpacked it said there was actually 5 cars and a motorbike in there. We went to pick them up somewhere in Southampton, which felt like it was at the back of like a train yard, didn't it?
It was literally in a train yard, James.
Yeah.
It was like part of an old railway carriage building establishment, I think.
It wasn't
Very
very
strange.
picturesque, was it?
No, as like new car handovers go, it wasn't quite up there with, collecting your Porsche or something.
No, wasn't fantastic. But anyway, we so there was 2 Jimneys there: the grey new Jimny, the white older shape one, a Polo GTI, and a Volvo V40. And we drove them all back, no problems whatsoever. I think.
After some jump starts, obviously.
After some jump starts, yeah. I mean, they had been in the container for 3 months or whatever it was, 6 weeks. So, yeah, that was quite good fun. Enjoyable picking those up. Nice to see them. Now, the fun and games has begun this week of trying to get them sorted. I think we sort of underestimated, John, quite how much work was going to be required, didn't we?
Did we? I mean, I didn't. I think you might have.
Well, no, I definitely got caught up in the auction bidding frenzy in Japan and just shelled out far too much money without thinking about what needs to be done. Because even simple things like changing them from kilometers to miles is not simple. It means removing dashes and changing clocks and all sorts of weird things. The stereo is in the wrong frequency. So over in Japan, like FM is in a far different frequency to us. Well, I mean, that's really quite difficult to change. I mean, I've been talking to lots of people on the phone this week who sort of don't know what I'm saying to them. They've got no idea what I'm talking about. So I'm trying to work out how to do that. And then we got some new stalks for the Suzuki Jimny, the new ones.
I haven't heard about this.
Well, yeah, this didn't go well, John.
No,
So these new stalks, we were hoping were if we replaced the ones from Japan for ones with a fog light switch on it, it would turn a fog light on, or we've got to get some new lights. But anyway, he wanted to know whether it would turn the little warning light on the dash. As soon as he turned the switch after installing them, it blew all the fuses in the Jimny. So that didn't go particularly well, John. Didn't go particularly well. Rather frustrating. So yeah, that's been a little bit of a headache. But no, apart from that, it's been a pretty good week for car sales. I sold 3 in the last 24 hours. Which for me is quite something.
Wow.
2 of them were drive-aways. But I did get scared by one person who turned up. Shall I tell that story, John? There was I was in the middle of sorting out all of the Japanese cars, and obviously we're an appointment only, and a man turned up at the site, and he can only be described as an absolute giant. He was huge, and he sort of walked over to me as I was sort of in head under a Volvo V40 bonnet, and he went, "Are you open?" And then I just turned around and went, "What, for cars?" Like, I was going to be selling anything other than cars to him. It was just the fact he was so scary. I looked at him and just, please don't hurt me. What would you like to see? And he just wanted to see a Dacia, John. He just wanted to see
So
a
what did
Dacia.
he say? Like, yeah, for
Yeah, cars. Obviously, yeah. He was like, yeah, cars. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm here at your car dealership, you plonker. Yeah, so it's been a weird week, John, but I'm glad it's Friday.
Well, I've had a lovely time because I had a day off to go and see a musical that I'm sure you want to discuss, James.
You,
Because you tried to discuss it with me yesterday, and I said, "Are you sure you want to talk about this now, or do you want to make fun of me on a podcast?"
please tell the listeners and viewers now on YouTube what you went to see, John.
Well, I went to see the stage adaptation of The Devil Wears Prada.
Right.
Of
Of course you
course.
did.
Were you familiar with that, James?
No, I didn't know there was a
Oh
movie.
well, I mean, I don't know if you'd like it. It's a musical of a film,
Right.
of a book,
Okay.
about this sort of editor of an influential magazine who can make or break the people in the industry that it represents. I don't think you'd have much in common, but it might be worth a watch anyway. I don't know.
John, I see that you also, it meant that you broke your Instagram ban again as well.
I did, yeah.
Well, I mean, what is this newfound love for Instagram?
I wouldn't go that far. 2 posts in 3 weeks.
I mean, the last one was August last year, John. So
Yeah.
it's quite something. Anyway, should we stop waffling?
Yeah.
This is not great podcast content.
I disagree, but I'm going to introduce our guest. So, joining us this week is a former TV star who had a leading role in Channel 4's The Dealership back in 2013. From used car dealer JG Cars, it's James Gammon. James, welcome.
Welcome. Hello.
Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Now, I must say, I was one of the biggest fans of that show when it went out on Channel 4. I have reminded myself of the fantastic TV event it was by watching the trailer on YouTube over the last couple of weeks, which you feature in quite heavily, don't you, James?
Well, to be fair, I've not seen that for a long while. So, how long you got much of the clip? Have you got?
Well, yeah, I did watch the clip again this morning to remind myself, and it's just the way that you are flying around the dealership with with much enthusiasm. It must be said, it was quite enlightening. But I remember that we actually sent you. I don't know if you remember this. We actually sent you our editor of the Car Dealer magazine at the time, Mr. James Batchelor, who came along and did a day's work experience. Do you remember that?
I've got to be honest. I was probably
Was he that forgettable?
He would have been wearing like bright red trousers and braces, if that helps.
He spent a day with us.
He did. He was actually. It obviously was not a landmark moment for you, but it certainly was for him because it ended up on the cover of the magazine.
Oh no, I've got the magazine. I think I've got that somewhere.
Tell us a little bit about that Channel 4 documentary. How did that all come about?
They just come in, some people. Richard Mace was the guy who got commissioned to do the Channel 4 documentary. And of course, I've started coming out of our talk and that. He was like, right, we're going to do it here. Done a deal with my governor, and that was it. But they actually filmed for 9 months, believe it or not. They say 1 day's filming for 1 minute of TV, which is quite mad. So you just rock up in the morning, they put a mic on you, and you literally just get on with your day. And after a couple of days, they're not even there. So you'd go up to a customer and go and say, like say what I've to say, and then are you up for being filmed? And they'll go, yeah. Then you just turn around, go to the cameramen like that. Then I'd all run out. Then you'd have 2 cameramen, and then you just get on with it. Yeah, do the normal.
It was quite a big show, wasn't it, at the time? I sort of remember it giving a real insight into a proper used car dealership. I mean, there was I think what I quite liked about it was. You were all big characters in that show, and you just sort of were getting on with the process of selling cars. It felt like you sort of forgot the cameras were there quite a lot of the time.
You did, because I was there for so long, you forget they're there. You can't pretend for that long, can you? Well, you can't. You just got to get on with it. It's good fun.
Did you have a lot of people turning up afterwards?
All the time. You could tell the look. It's like, bearing in mind, I've still got to earn a pound note. So you'd see them come in the forecourt, and you could see how they looked at you, whether they wanted to just come down and say hello, or they're going to buy a car. That's how it would roll.
They just wanted a selfie. So tell people now about what you're up to. So, I mean, that was obviously, what was that, 10 years ago?
13 years.
13 years ago.
13, yeah.
Yeah, so that's been quite some time. What are you up to now?
So now we're just, me and my business partner, Ray, started the car dealership up. And, it's amazing. Thoroughly enjoying it.
Whereabouts are you based?
We're in Hadley, right on a one-way system.
And
Lovely little
what
site.
sort of stuff do you sell?
Our business model is 5 to 10 grand.
And how is the market for you at the moment? I mean, for us, it's been a little bit quiet, May.
Absolutely not. Don't neg me out.
No.
I can't have no negative. I'm very sensitive. So anyone who's got anything negative to say, don't say it to me.
Oh, you're listening to the wrong podcast.
I thought that when I first started hearing you. He's the fun one, John. No, but for us, it's just a mate. Like, I love what I do. I'm no business minded. My business partner Ray does all that and all the back office stuff. I'm right at the front, and I love I love people. No interest in cars. They bore me to death. We go to a party. I'm in a car game and start talking about cars. No, mate, got the wrong geezer. I want to know about you and get like right into people. That's what I love.
So how did you end up getting into the motor trade then? If you don't like cars,
because I couldn't find another job, and I could sell. Yeah, it was there 20 years. Essex Car Company.
So 20 years at the Essex Car Company. Is that business still going?
Yeah, strong, going very, very well.
With the same people?
Oh, a lot of the same people, probably half and a half. Ain't a bad shout after 20 years.
And so how did this new business come about then? Tell us about that.
My mum bothered me 40 grand, so I went down the auction with me mate. So I thought, I'm not going back working there. I've got to do something on my own. And I went down the auction with one of my mates, and within 20 minutes, he spent all of the 40 grand. And we bought like Dogcock red Fiestas, green Mercedes, everything I wanted. But I'm like that, no. And he's like that, bye. And end up nicking a couple of quid, not a lot. My business partner, dear friend of mine, he could see that it was a pound note to be earned. And then just short of 2 years on, we've got like 50 cars, 155-star reviews, and smashing it.
Nice.
Enjoying it mainly. I say smashing it. It's okay, but it's very enjoyable.
So when it comes to stocking the dealership you've got there, how do you go about doing that? Do you use any data? Do you look at what's selling, or is it all gut feeling?
No, it's quite strategic. But I don't know if I can tell you. I'd have to kill you if I told you exactly.
Oh, you're going to have to tell us now.
Right? Well, we're using Carwell and motorways predominantly. Mainly because you can go and see the car, drive the car, and talk to the customer. So you get there, you rock up, like we get a feeling for someone here, like you're a bit negative, John's a bit more upbeat. You get a feeling for people, what they're like, don't you? You think, no, they're all right, I want to buy from you. You can ask them all the questions, go and drive the car, look around it as long as you want, and they'll have a little deal. It's gold.
Yeah, we buy a lot of our cars from Carwell Motorway and love it for that reason. The fact that you actually can meet the customer.
What do you do, James? Do you send drivers there?
No, well, I mean, some of the time we do send drivers there, but most of the time we try and do it with our own team members or ourselves, because we like to have the conversation with the customer. We like to sort of kind of, if it hasn't been described properly, sort of explain that to them and say we're going to need to change the price as a result. I mean, how do you find that sort of negotiation piece?
Well, to be fair, I'd love to go for every sale, but I don't do that. My business partner Ray and my uncle Terry do that. But I'd love that. I'm like sort of more front of house here. But I would have loved to do that. I've done it a couple of times. I've thoroughly enjoyed it because the boot's on the other foot. I was a stone chip there. There's a little curb on the wheel. Now you're like that going at them, ain't you? You didn't put that down in your report, mate, did you? But that's what you got to do.
Yeah, it's a slightly different way of buying cars, isn't it? So you don't go to the auctions.
Well, to be fair, we've got a stocking loan with BCA, and we're just going to expand a bit bigger. So we're sort of testing the water. The trouble you've got in BCA cars, obviously you can't drive them, can you? So you've got to make sure that they're on point, and you've got 48 hours to make sure it's all right. Otherwise, you're stuck with it. So we've literally just bought 3 cars the other day from it.
So you've obviously been in the motor trade for some time. For someone who doesn't like cars, I mean, what's kept you in it?
I love what I do. I love people. I like making people feel good. But my what I love is getting my reviews on like in the mornings and like how was their experience, and that's just the fact that they've loved it.
It's certainly nice to get those reviews when they come in. I mean, it's nice to have a testament, isn't it, to the hard work.
You're going in the right direction, and like that's what it's all about. 90% of my customers are buying a car before they even rock up. They're buying that car. As long as it says describe the car in the video and in the pictures, they're buying the car because they know it's scary, isn't it, buying a car? Where'd you go? What'd you get? Are these all right? Something goes wrong. Are they going to do it? Well, my reviews say all of that.
And when it comes to advertising, who do you use? What works for you?
The Bible, I guess. We're just about to get into socials now. We've got a guy coming down to do a video and start doing all that side of it. It's exciting, it's fun, isn't it? And just like what we're doing here, really, and just get filmed all day. I don't quite know what you got to do, but we're going to give it a go.
So you use Auto Trader? Is that the only site that you use?
Well, we had all of them. Oh no, we're on the AA as well. Because although it don't mean a great deal, the AA, people think, oh, they're AA, what's it, isn't they, like affiliated? But it don't mean jack all, but it gives people peace of mind. And what you pay for it's worth having a few of their banners about and flags. So yeah, AA and that. We did have gurus who come off and might go back. There's no science. I mean, how do you feel about the motor trading and advertising? Is there a science to...
Well, I mean, I wish I knew. I mean, you got to try and put as much. I find you got to try and put as much effort as possible into your adverts. Take as many pictures as you can. Do a video. Write a decent description, and hopefully it does the job. But sometimes you buy cars that you think are going to sell really quickly, and they just don't move, do they? I mean, it's. I don't think there is a science to it really. A lot of it is finding your way in the dark.
How do you buy your cars? Do you use like the retail and performance rating on the trade?
Yeah, so we really focused on retail rating from Auto Trader from the start of the Clever Car Collection. We use AI throughout the business as much as possible, and part of that is about selecting the cars that are for sale in the Carwow motorway auctions near us that are the highest retail rating and the lowest days to sell, which is certainly worked for us. Normally we turn our cars pretty quickly. I think the average days to sell in the UK for a car dealer is about 60. We're averaging about 15 at the moment. So 15 days to sell. Yeah.
Wow. So what's it on the we call it the Richter scale, but on the performance rating, what do you buy above what or below what?
We try and buy above 90. We try and buy above 90, which is hard because all the other dealers are trying to buy above 90. But we find that it works. And actually, we're happy to take a slightly small. I feel like I'm being interviewed now. We're happy to take a slightly smaller margin as a result of that margin? Because we turn it quicker. Sorry?
What do you call small margin, Jack?
Well, under £1,000 in the chassis.
Okay, and you
we average about £1,000 in the chassis is what we get. We have just become FCA regulated, so we can offer finance, which has helped a little bit. But we operate in a very similar space to you, the £5,000 to £10,000 market, and actually not a huge number of our buyers want finance. How do you find finance? Do you offer it?
We don't do it because I failed that FCA. I've done that FCA call when I'm not like intellectual like that and ballsed it right up. So, and it weren't bothering us too much because our model don't, like you just said, James, our model doesn't, we got Zuto on our website and we've got like a broker, but we do probably, I don't know, 3 a month, 4 a month through Zuto. But like you say, that £5,000 to £10,000 market, they're always coming in with cards and credit cards and that. So
yeah, I mean, we have found it useful being able to offer finance on stuff that's a little bit more, and sometimes you get a little bit of a shock. Someone wants finance on a £4,000 car, and you think, well, okay. Still, if it helps get the car out the door, we'll obviously do it. But there was a lot of work involved in getting that FCA process sorted. Yeah. Well, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking around for our quiz, and we'll be getting your opinion along the way.
Cool. Thank you.
Certainly. So James and I are going to run through, this is going to get very confusing with two Jameses. James and I are going to run through our favourite stories of the week, and at the end, James gets to decide which one of us chose the best ones and who is the winner. James won last week, so he gets to start. Apparently you did, yeah.
Excellent. I am so underprepared for this. It's unreal, John. So much so I haven't even got my stories open. But what I am going to go for is the news that Auto Trader released some bumper profits this week. Considerable profit margin on their £601 million revenue. They made £376 million. That was up 9% on the year before, revenue up 5%. But interestingly, it hasn't gone down particularly well with investors. Yesterday, Auto Trader's share price dropped 11%, 11.5%, in fact, as a result of those results coming out. And I was just thinking, well, hang on a minute, why is this? You know, normally a result like that would be seen as very, very good. And I just looked into these results a little bit more, looked at some of the coverage that came off the back of it in some of the national newspapers. And when you dive into the detail, John, you can see that what's happened in the last year for the motor trade is actually car dealers have been selling their cars quicker. And when they're selling their cars quicker, they're much less likely to spend out more money on things like the boost that you can get used with Auto Trader, the pay-per-clicks, or importantly, take more slots from Auto Trader. Auto Trader obviously charge you per slot. If you're selling your cars quickly, you don't need as many slots. So as a result of that, their growth hasn't been quite what some investors thought it would be. And as a result, it dropped that quite large 11% in its share price yesterday. I had a long conversation with Auto Trader's COO, Catherine Fairs, yesterday. And I had the opportunity to put some, frankly, quite horrible questions to her. You know, I spoke to a number of car dealers in the morning and asked them what would they like to ask Catherine, and asked her those questions. And she dealt with it incredibly well. I mean, there was a lot of dealers look at Auto Trader, and every April they put up their prices by 8% or so. It's often the second biggest bill, or maybe the biggest bill that used car dealers have, or car dealers have. So it sort of it gets their goat a little bit when they when these bills come in, and then they see a couple of weeks later these massive profits. So I asked Catherine what her thoughts were on that, and you know, did she think she had car dealers over a barrel? You know, that was what one way one car dealer put it. They said they've kind of Auto Traders got us over a barrel. And she said, we definitely don't have anyone over a barrel, was her response. We're a marketplace, and it's a choice that resellers have about whether to partner with us or not. We've got more retailers partnering with us this year than we had last year. And we never put for a price rise without delivering value. So, you know, a solid response from Catherine there. But still, you know, you talk to dealers and they are particularly cheesed off about the price rises. I'm in a number of different WhatsApp groups with car dealers of all different shapes and sizes, and the talk has been that many of them are reducing their packages. Yeah, Auto Trader offers like 5 or 6 different package sizes. You can start at the cheapest, and obviously the more you spend, the further they'll push your adverts out to other people. The talk is that a lot of people are downgrading. And she said to me when I asked her that question, I wouldn't believe everything you read in WhatsApp groups. What we actually see compared to what people are actually saying is a completely different thing, which I thought was a very interesting response. There was a couple of other more specific questions that some readers asked me to ask her. One of them was why the car dealer logos have been removed from search listings. So as you search through, you know, the car listings, you used to have the logo of the car dealership there.
Yeah, bottom right or something. Yeah,
bottom right. Yeah, but they've sort of disappeared. She said that apparently shoppers, these are her words, shoppers focus on car images, price and spec at that stage, and they're less inclined to want to know who they're buying from. But you can sort of see from some car dealers who put a lot of effort into their branding and want to be seen as a good dealer, that if they haven't got their logo there, why they'll be a little bit annoyed about it. One of the other things that sort of annoyed dealers is the fact that when you're searching for a car, those dealers that are paying on bigger packages or paying for boost, their cars often, even though they're well out of your area, appear in listings. I don't know whether you've seen it, John, but there's a lot of people talking about this online and comments in YouTube videos about how much this annoys them.
And I suppose the argument behind it from a customer point of view is that perhaps those dealers offer delivery.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that's exactly what Auto Trader will say. Those dealers do offer delivery. But a lot of people, when they're searching for a car, go within 50 miles because they don't want to travel, look at the price range. And if they suddenly get one that's from 250 miles away from a car supermarket that can deliver, you can see why local dealers might get a little bit annoyed about that.
Yes, because they're going to be presented with that page at the sales negotiation going, oh, this one's 500 quid cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's in Aberdeen.
She said that their search is driven by relevance, algorithms, and they're balancing consumer needs with with retailers who want to boost their exposure. So, by boosting their exposure, she says she means there dealers who are going to pay us more money, which is exactly what Auto Trader does. But yeah, I think fair play to Catherine for having the time to chat to me yesterday. She gave me half an hour on the phone on a very, very busy day, results day for a FTSE 100 listed business. Fair play to her for that, and thank you to her for answering these awkward questions. I mean, I think it's my job to ask those nasty questions because that's what dealers want to know. But it's her job to be able to try and come up with the responses that placates their customers. James, you're an Auto Trader customer. I mean, you look at these results from someone from Auto Trader making 370 odd million pounds. What were your thoughts?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, sorry. I've sent you to sleep with my monologue there. I'm very sorry about that. But
Say
yes,
that again, please, James. Sorry.
What did you think when you read Auto Trader's results?
Well, I don't read anything like that, to be fair. I'm just not, I just do front end. Ray, my business partner, he will do all of that stuff, so mine got no comment on it. No idea.
Does it annoy you that Auto Trader makes £375 million profit?
No, I love the Auto Trader.
And because they generate the results for you?
Yeah, and like I love the platform. I love how you can muck about with it and the performance ratings. I get all my reviews from it. Yeah, no, I love it. And you got to pay it. You got to pay it. It's the Bible, isn't it? That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean,
take it personally. It's business. We need it. Well, we do at the minute before the socials take over.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you. I mean, I couldn't run my business without Auto Trader. We're charting how many leads come from different platforms this year
on a whiteboard.
Sorry?
Whiteboard.
On a whiteboard, of course. I mean, we're a car dealership. Where else would you put it, John? But yes, on the whiteboard. And Auto Trader, by far and away, 90% of our leads so far this year have come from Auto Trader.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, if it works, you pay for it, don't you? I mean, that's my opinion. But I can understand why some dealers out there get a little bit cheesed off. Anyway, John, Auto Trader.
I was just going to say the other, it's a difficult area for Auto Trader to kind of the tightrope on pricing to walk, isn't it? Because on the one hand, they would say, all right, well, it's expensive, but it delivers results. And, like the average dealer that perhaps is a bit annoyed by the price hike, perhaps isn't using the ad slots as efficiently as they could be, shall we say? Because for you, James, what's your general? You normally have 7, don't you? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, 7.
And you have 13 cars in stock. Well, you don't have 13 cars advertised. You swap them around and do whatever, which is a bit of a faff. But if everyone, as a result of a price hike, starts reducing their packages, then it sort of cancels out the 8% price hike in terms of their profits, doesn't it? So it's I wouldn't want to be Auto Trader trying to do the maths on how to make more money next year in terms of how you balance that one.
Just my final point on this is, when the Auto Trader prices go up, our advertising packages go up. Just for us, a very small dealership, when we got our price increase through, that was effectively means we have to sell another car this year. Because what we can't do is we can't put the prices of our cars up because Auto Trader says whether they're a good, great, fair, high price. And if you put your prices up, it goes into the wrong price flag. So I think that's the other thing that annoys dealers a little bit is you can't, as a dealer, go and pass that price increase on like you would do in any other normal business to your customer. You just have to suck it up. And it means the only place that's coming out of is your margin. It means you have to sell more cars.
One observation that I will throw in at the end, though, to Auto Trader's credit, obviously, notwithstanding all the positives we've had about how quickly stuff sells in there and that 90% of your leads are coming from there. It's the fact that you can engage with them so much more than any other platform, can't you? Like I won't name Auto Trader competitors and say they're not approachable on the phone, but you're encouraged to phone up your account manager at Auto Trader and say, what am I doing wrong? How can I make this work better? And pretty much all the stuff that they've told you, James, has done its job. It works.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See results.
That's the one thing Catherine said on the call was they're very happy to take calls from dealers. Just pick up the phone. If you're not happy or you want some advice on something, pick up the phone and speak to your account manager. And we do that. We have a monthly chat with our account manager and often he comes up with some very interesting information or some tips on how to improve things and they work. So I would say to people listening, if they haven't done that, to go on and crack on and give it a go. We'll be right back. Now, John, I'm really enjoying how easy it is to pay sellers on Carwow.
I mean, presume you'd rather not pay them at all.
No, that is true. But now I can do it with Carwow Wallet. You can pay sellers, finance houses, and more instantly, literally in one click. It's secure, easy to use, and gets rid of all the pesky finance back and forth. It's a total game changer, John.
That does sound pretty good.
If you want to find out more, dealers can log on to carwow.co.uk/partners/carwow-wallet. Now, back to the podcast.
Right, should we move on?
Let's do that.
I can't believe you haven't talked about this, but I'm going to talk about the case of the stolen Porsche Cayenne.
Oh, yes, good story.
So, Joe Betty of Barrow Motors, obviously has his podcast and his YouTube channel as well, has had a bit of an unfortunate incident. One of his cars was stolen from the local MOT centre, I think, just before it was about to be handed over to a customer as well. So he'd sold the car, it was all ready to go, it was just going to get the nice rubber stamp for fresh MOT. And then he had a phone call to say from the MOT centre, some words I won't use, have broken in to the MOT centre with what looks like kind of really properly broken into. It wasn't parked outside. They've cut into the metal door and stolen it that way, stolen this Porsche Cayenne and used it in a ram raid. So, I mean, firstly, how 90s is that? I didn't know ram raids.
Well, and also, John, who ram raids an Asda Express? I mean, why on earth would you want to ram raid an Asda Express? It's got nothing
high on the list, I think, as suspects.
What have they gone for?
Toblerones.
and some Space Raider crisps. I
mean, possibly some blue vape liquid. I don't know what else Asda Express sells, really.
Very, very
multi-pack of Tunnocks tea cakes, that sort of stuff. It's all high-value produce now. So, yeah, so poor Joe has had to go down actually, got the chance to go and see his car sticking out of an Asda Express in video form. So he went down there, discovered the scene of the crime, and is now having to deal with all the results of that. So I just thought it was I thought it was an incredible story because you can watch his video that he's produced about it at the top of this story. I mean, it's quite unusual to have a car nicked and then get to go and see what someone's done with it, and it just disappears off in a container somewhere, the likes of a Cayenne, doesn't it? But very sad that you can't even lock something away in an MOT centre and it not be stolen and used to steal Monster Munch.
Yeah, they also took an S-Max as well, didn't they?
Apparently so.
At the same time. Very strange. It's like they knew the cars were there. That they knew what they were going for. But yeah, no, a very, very strange story, that one. James, have you ever had any cars nicked?
We had 5 nicked at Essex Car Company in one night. They lined up a load of Range Rovers, all balaclavaed up, like, you know what I mean? When you see it on the thing, they blocked the signal with an internet blocker. I was in there about an hour. Proper firm. You see them all like swinging in and out of all the cars and valleys on. And yeah, and it was the same deal. One was involved in a murder. One was a raid. One they didn't get back. One they crashed. But yeah, naughty little firm, I guess. Like them. Apart from they went into Asda.
Not an Asda ram raid. Right, I'll move us on, shall I, John? What am I going to pick next? I'm going to go slightly more serious, and we're going to talk a little bit about some car dealer results. I'm going to wrap 2 into one here because we've got one very good one and one not so great one. So the first one is Waylands. So this is John O'Hanlon's business. He has seen pre-tax profit rise for 2024 by 24% to £3.1 million. He achieved new and used car sales during the year of 8,665 units. Revenue dropped slightly, just dipping under 200 million at 198 million. But he saw after sales income rise, and he says he's on course to achieve 16,000 annual sales in the not too distant future. He did say that agency sales have dented revenue, as we know. agency takes away the stock from the dealer and puts it in the hands of the manufacturer, and he does represent Volvo. And I think he's got Polestar as well. I'm not sure, but haven't Polestar moved away from agency and gone back to...
Yeah, but I don't know if these results would reflect that. I don't know
Yeah.
when the change happened
But
or is happening.
Volvo in particular certainly have. But nice to see a solid set of results from John O'Hanlon. We had him at Car Dealer Live this year, didn't we? He was one of our headline speakers, and what I love about John and his business is that he's been in this industry for such a long time, and he decided to go off and do it all again. You know, he had started with he had that Ridgeway business, didn't he? That was taken over by Marshalls, and rather than just sit and enjoy his spoils, he decided to go and do it all over again and build another business. And I've got a huge amount of respect for people who do that. That it's obviously very, very similar to me. He can't sit still, and he can't sit still and do nothing.
Was your business acquired by Marshall as well, James?
No, no. I mean, if they're interested in the Clever Car Collection, then and want to write me a big check. I mean, it is an AI-based business, John. So that does what's that means? It's 15 times its value. So yeah. Anyway, yes, interesting to see some incredible results from Waylands there, John. But yeah, I just want to cover Hartwell. Hartwell, not so good. They achieved a pre-tax loss of 1.75 million in their last financial year. Turnover dropped, and their pre-tax profit fell 70%. The group blamed weaker new car sales, reduced manufacturer bonuses, and difficulty in sourcing used car stock. Their directors said that used car demand remained high, but their margins were under pressure. Despite this, they did still increase their director pay by 7%. The firm did add BYD, GWM, and a Moda franchises, so 3 Chinese brands during the year, and they said they've got off to a promising start. But I just think the reason I picked these two stories, John, is it's just we're going to be talking a lot about 2024 results, aren't we, over the next few weeks and months? And this is just in the same week 2 very, very different tales of how difficult it can be, or how different it can be out there in the industry when they're selling, the same similar sorts of new car products.
Yeah, I mean, not to look at this with no nuance whatsoever, but I'm going to. I mean, Hartwell compared to Waylands have it sort of shows the power of a good manufacturer. I think not to. I'm not going to be too critical of Ford here, but I am. Hartwell was mainly a Ford dealer, and Ford have cut a lot of their franchises or a lot of their sites. Hartwell have had to diversify with BYD and GWM and so on and so forth. But I wouldn't want to be a Ford dealer right now, as I've said before. Whereas over at Waylands, they've got Volvo, very strong brand. They've got Kia, another very strong brand. Polestar's obviously on the up as well. I can't remember all the others, but it shows the difference, doesn't it, between a manufacturer that's investing in product that people actually want to buy.
Yeah, I think the other thing is just it shows the gamble that you have to take when you're setting up a new car for a business on which car manufacturer. Yeah, I mean,
15 years ago, who would you have bet on, Ford or Volvo?
Oh yeah, exactly or that.
Kia.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly wouldn't be betting against Ford, would you?
No.
Yeah, it shows you just, and then you put in such huge amounts of investment into these businesses, and then that can happen as a result. So yeah, 2 very different tales there, John. But I pass the floor to you.
Oh, okay. Was I ready? No, I wasn't. What should I go for? I'm going to talk about VW because Dieselgate, the saga that rumbles on, that started in I feel like it started in about 2008 when they started making diesel engines in the way that has become apparently illegal. But 2015 is when this started.
2015, John, yeah. I've just
2015 is when the US EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, issued a notice of violation. And since then, we've been bombarded with banner ads from, have you owned a diesel car in the last 10 years? Then you might be able to claim. But what's the latest piece of information in this saga is that actually some of the engineers have now been jailed. So there's been a string of legal hearings. The latest took place on Monday in Germany. and featured a few names that you won't be familiar with from VW. So there was the former head of diesel engine development. There's a guy called Jens Hadler. I mean, with a job title like former head of diesel engine development, you expected possibly he would come in for some legal scrutiny, but he's been sentenced to 4.5 years in prison as a result of whatever it is he may or may not have done, or evidently did do. I'm treading a legal tightrope here. Can you tell?
I'm just
He's
going
been
to
sentenced to
let you
four and a
carry
half
on.
years in prison, basically, as a result of the Dieselgate scandal. Another one. So the former head of Drive Technology, it's a great name, Hanno Gelden, was jailed for 2 years and 7 months. Then you've got a couple of board members who've been given suspended sentences of about 15 and 10 months. The one name that's missing from this is the chief executive at the time, Martin Winterkorn, whose name was floating around in the tabloids for months and months after the Dieselgate scandal broke. He's been facing possibly 10 years behind bars, but proceedings against him have been suspended because of health issues. So we're not sure when that's actually going to go through to a trial. I should say, as it says in the story here, Mr. Winterkorn has denied wrongdoing.
Thanks, John.
No problem.
Yes, I mean,
Just in case any
you're
lawyers...
doing a good job here. I mean, it's not an easy one.
But I can't believe this is still going on. I'd largely forgotten about it, to be honest. But clearly there's been some wrongdoing.
Clearly there has. I mean, I don't want to comment on this anyway, so should I just move us on to another story?
Really, James? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
I mean, I've got a question for you. You've sold quite a few diesel VWs. Do people ever go, oh, Dieselgate? Oh, is that a thing? Like, what's the emissions on this?
Absolutely never. I mean, I actually find that most people want diesels. I mean, I think that at our end of the market, diesels absolutely fly out. And I think, I think it's completely forgotten. I don't think consumers know about it at all. James, how do you find diesel market and people's demand for diesel?
To be fair, I guess it's more petrol now, but like you have a little spell and like some people, I want diesel, love diesel, or the other way around. But yeah, probably half and half really.
It's still quite expensive, isn't it? I suppose to fill the cars up in comparison to a petrol. But I just find that most people want the fuel economy, even when they're just driving them around town. Yeah. Right, I'm going to move us on. Shall I move us on? I'll move us on. I'm going to just pick a story about the used car market showing resilience in early 2025. And this is a piece that we've published off the back of data from a data company called Percayso Vehicle Intelligence. So, John, do you know who these people are? No. So do you remember Kazana?
For amusement, I only said no, but yes, I do.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Otherwise, that would have made my job very hard. So Kazana were a used car data business that was sold to Cazoo for about 25 million, I seem to remember. And then Cazoo, in their vast wisdom, decided to sell it off again, and it's been spun off into this new business called Percayso. Darren Martin, formerly of Cap HPI, is now working with the guys there as an analyst, and he's provided some insight into the market so far this year. I've also had a bit of a play around with the system. They've given me access to this, and it's a used car pricing tool that I found has worked really, really well. I found it's quite nice to have a different take on used car prices other than Auto Trader and Cap HPI. I mean, like they are two that all dealers use all the time. But the nice thing about the Percayso system is it gives you an idea of how much that the car that you're valuing could be sold at a car supermarket, an independent car dealer, and a franchise car dealer. It gives you a good idea of what the trade value is. And the trade values are a lot more accurate than the ones I've seen from other platforms. But I think maybe the way that they're getting their data is slightly different. And the nice thing is it tells you when it was last sold and who else is selling similar vehicles. So you can look at their adverts. It does a lot of scraping of the internet. But I found it really useful. It's laid out really well and a nice tool to use. And good to see Darren back giving us some insight into the industry. He says that retail values for 3 to 4 year old cars have dropped just 1.5% so far this year, and that's despite rising stock levels. He said hybrids have been a standout performer. They're up nearly 4%, which did lead me to think that I probably need to start stocking some hybrids. I've been a little bit scared off those.
There's not many in the $5,000.
No, but well,
Yeah.
in the 5 to 10 grand market, you could buy a lot of Outlander PHEVs.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Very good retail ratings.
Don't know. Would you trust first generation PHEV technology
I
like
don't
that?
know. I don't know.
Sure I would.
I mean, everything in the used car business is a gamble, John. Something's going to go wrong somewhere along the line. But yeah, nice to see Darren back, giving us some insight. He does say EVs are continuing to face volatile values. I like that, and sluggish demand. What a great way of putting it. Yeah, and it's nice to see
Interesting is
him
that just
not at all.
EV sluggish demand there. I think so. I was at a dealer yesterday that pretty much buys up all the EVs that are going through auction.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you know, a huge amount of, like, on this forecourt of, I don't know, 400 cars or whatever, I would say probably a fifth, maybe a sixth of them were EV, which is a large mix, really. You know, sort of, we're talking like up to 4 years old, 4 years old and older, but a lot of I-Paces, a lot of Corsa electrics, electric minis, that sort of stuff. And I spoke to them about it, and apparently they're selling really well in terms of retail. It's just that no one at auction is buying them. So it's very similar to what we saw when we went to an auction. Shows how up to date we are, James. We went to an auction over a year ago, or whenever it was. Was it over a year ago? When did we go to G3?
That was this year.
Okay, fine. Oh, God, my life. All right. When we went to an auction several months ago and everything was going over book except EVs, and it was like the whole room almost stepped back as soon as an EV would appear. It shows that there's an opportunity to be had, which is, of course, what we've been harping on about for the last 4 months, isn't it?
Fortune favours the brave.
James, have you been tempted to stock any EVs?
We have been, yeah, but I just don't get involved in it. Ray and Uncle Terry do all the buying. But yeah, there's a guy what Ray was telling me about, and don't quote me here, but his refurb cost was say 30 grand a month. Then he went to EVs and he went down to about 8 grand. So in that respect, and there's not a lot to go wrong, is there? But every time I've sold one, there's nothing goes wrong with him. So yeah, good shout.
Pretty much. I mean, what the guy said to me yesterday with I-Paces, for example, which are like renowned for possibly having slightly iffy batteries, I think, and being not iffy batteries, but there's an issue with repairing them. JLR aren't particularly helpful, I think. I think the whole battery had. Stop laughing at me, James.
I was adding a caveat of allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah. But in terms of, they're not the easiest, most straightforward thing to repair, I think, is the problem. But he was saying, you know, like they'll sell 30 and maybe one will come back broken, which I sort of was like, well, compare that to a lot of things you're selling, James, like EcoBoosts and whatever. You'd be very happy with a 1 in 30 return, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we sold the only problem was we sold a Nissan Leaf, and because it was so quiet and it was a 10-year-old car, every little thing that squeaked or rattled, which happens on 10-year-old cars, the driver could hear.
Yeah.
And it was just like probably the sort of things on a normal petrol or diesel car you just never even notice. But he was like, oh, there's a problem with this, there's a problem with that. There wasn't, but it was more of a perception thing, really. Yeah, no, I think I definitely want to try some more EVs, but it's finding the right ones at this price point. It's not easy. You're looking at sort of Renault Zoes with battery leases, and then you're in all sorts of worlds of headaches.
Most definitely.
Is it my turn?
It was your story.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, it's your turn. You just hijacked it.
And honestly, right. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Volvo, having just spoken about how lovely Volvo are and how much money they're making for the likes of Waylands. They're going through a bit of a tough time at the moment as an organisation. So they've unveiled this week. Unveiled. I like that. Like it's a new car reveal. We've written unveils, major cost-cutting exercise. Here it is. Whoa, the cost-cutting exercise with, sadly, 3,000 jobs set to be axed. So that is largely office positions, says this story, and says presumably the release that it was written from. and most of it is in Gothenburg and Sweden. But I wanted to, I mean, that's not particularly of interest to us because very few listeners of this podcast will be based in Sweden, and probably even fewer will work at Volvo. But I just wanted to talk about the situation that Volvo find itself in, because, of course, it had a new CEO not that long ago who was crucially the old CEO who has come back. So I'm going to say his name wrong, but Håkan Samuelsson led Volvo for quite a long time through quite a heady era where they moved over to the current look of Volvos that you see now. Like, I think he was instrumental in the launch of the current XC90, which has been going for nearly 10 plus years now, and it's still going strong. And the V90 and all these cars like this that have seen it turn around into a bit more of a sexy car company, shall we say, compared to what it was before. And I would say in the last 3 or 4 years, things have been not quite so positive. So, James, you went on the launch of the EX90, which was supposed to be this, well, what do you call it? Like a flagship in the Volvo range, electric version of the car that everyone loves, the XC90. It looks very similar. It's got all this new tech on it. It might be an electric SUV that people really want to buy. And the launch was a bit of a nightmare because half the tech didn't work, for example. And brutally, I don't think. I mean, is it actually on sale? I haven't seen many of them. I don't know if it's actually gone on sale.
I think it is on sale.
It's on sale. You heard it from James, but I don't think it's been quite the success that Volvo was perhaps hoping it would be. Then you've got the EX30, which is that little electric thing. You do see quite a lot of those, but that was given quite heavy criticism when it came out about, let's say, I don't want to say safety, but the way that its interior was designed was not very Volvo. Everything's through a touch screen, pretty much. It's not the user experience that you expect from a car that's all about keeping its occupants safe, shall we say. And it's when you see cars like the XC90 were supposed to be retired by this point, and they've extended it because the new ones are not quite as popular as people have perhaps hoped. And then you've got, Volvo in the UK obviously took away the V90 and the V60 and have brought them back again. I just think it's a little bit of a peculiar time over at Volvo.
They've had a tough couple of years, haven't they? Jim Rowan is the former CEO. He abruptly stepped down. He'd seen that they'd lost their shares, Volvo shares, under his tenure. They'd lost 2/3 of their value, according to this article that I'm reading about this same story. They say that he really struggled with lower than expected sales of electric cars. And obviously they're now facing these tariffs from Trump of 25%. So they've got a lot of problems. Volvo's, the US market is a very big market for Volvo. So they've got a lot of headwinds at the moment. And as a result, they're having to cut some jobs as a result. We've talked a lot about a story there that's based in Sweden, haven't we?
Yes.
We
like Volvos, so...
We do like Volvos. Shall I wedge one more in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I talk to you about tea?
If you must, yeah.
Okay. I like this story because this is a Nissan dealer that has served up its perfect cuppa, says our headline of the story, with its own brew of tea. Did you know this?
Right.
This is a great story. So this is, this should have really topped the podcast. Southwest Nissan has created, according to James Batchelor, a tea-licious new brew. That's terrible, isn't it? Tea-licious.
Did he really need to come up with that pun? Did that need to happen? Is he feeling all right?
Maybe not, no. So it's worked with Kingdom Tea Brokers and the tea packaging specialists to produce this new brew for customers to enjoy. The initiative, they say, came about to celebrate the National Tea Day. I don't know when that was. Neither does James Batchelor, because he just says it was a little earlier this year. That accurate reporting there, thank you. But yes, this is a dealer group that represents a Japanese car manufacturer at 4 sites across Somerset and Devon, and has now got this special tea for staff and customers to enjoy in all of its branches. So if you want a nice cup of tea, head down there, John.
Well, what I will say is the Clever Car Collection also has its own. I would say your tea from the Clever Car Collection, as long as you want mint tea, is really a unique creation because it's growing on the side of your building.
Yeah, in effectively the car park. So
Yeah.
it's got a very unique taste of diesel DPFs from 2014, 2015 Nissans.
I mean, you know me, James. I'm a big fan of branded items. So much as I'm being pessimistic, I did quite like this story. But I'm going to use it to suggest that you should get a few more branded items in your dealership, such as, dare I suggest, more than 3 coffee mugs. Because every time I pop over, I go, can I have a coffee? No, because the 3 mugs for your 4 employees are all in the dishwasher, doing one cycle of 3 mugs at a time.
Yep, sorry. Okay, I'll do that. Hopefully someone will send some in after listening to this podcast.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Yep.
I think we're probably out of stories.
I think so too.
So, James, in the forest behind you, I'm going to have to ask you, I'm going to ask you first. Are there any stories this week you think we should have covered, but we haven't?
Me?
Yeah.
No stories. I think you've covered it all, boys. Very, very thorough. Very informative.
We try our best. Thank you.
Done very well.
So I'm going to have to ask
that was like a school report. I like it. Thanks.
Like I'm in school, James. Let me tell you. I feel like I'm in a maths lesson. I can't talk. I can't move. This is PhD. Let me tell you, I've got to run after this.
Behaviour we expect of all of our guests. Just silence and not movement. So I'm going to have to ask you, what was your favourite story?
This is easy. It's the most positive one. The John O'Halloran story. Well, it keeps smashing it. Is positive. Yes. That is a very. I think apart from the tea, that was the positive one you said.
Oh,
love positivity. That's what we like.
I've had a bit of a run here, John. I think of wins.
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks. That's quite a run for me. Thank you. I'll take it. James, thank you for that. Much appreciated.
Lovely. Well, all that's left for me to say then is thank you to James for coming on today. It's been great to chat to you and finally meet you, of course, after we're walking in James Batchelor's footsteps, even if he's not remembered. And I don't blame you, frankly.
Now, I've got one final question. Are we going to see the dealership too?
I fancy once we start doing these socials, because we're not JG Cars, we're actually called the dealership, as seen on Channel 4. And every time you make a call, people go, yeah, what dealership? We go, the famous one, the one on Channel 4. So that's what we're actually called. But when we start these socials, that is what we will be going for, without a shadow of a doubt. And can I just ask, any of your listeners, your beautiful listeners, have got any of the footage of the dealership, what was on Channel 4, would you be able to get it to us or get it to you boys if you can, please?
We'll try and funnel it your way, definitely.
James, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. I'm sure someone's got it recorded on VHS.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but we can't find it. We've asked everybody. It'd be magical if someone's got that.
Yeah, no worries whatsoever. Well, thank you very much. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. And thank you as well to James. Again, can't remember why, but thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode, so make sure you're subscribed so you'll be notified when that goes live. You can also watch us on YouTube on the Car Dealer Insights channel, which we might rename, but it's, as of right now, still called Car Dealer Insights, with all the insights that we provide via this podcast. If you want to check out the stories we mentioned today, take a look in the show notes below or head to cardealermagazine.co.uk. Thanks for listening and goodbye.